All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another week of LinkedIn Live with me. As you know, for this series, we are talking about uncomfortable hair truths that Black women experience. And so I have with me again this week some of the contributing authors for the upcoming anthology. Can't Tell Me Nothing, the uncomfortable hair truths of Black women. So let's go ahead and jump right on in. I'm going to start off with the round robin, let the ladies introduce themselves and, tell you a little bit about themselves. And then we're going to jump into this great set of questions that we have. Tonight, we are talking about your health and how your health can impact your hair. So we're going to be talking about stress. We're going to be talking about medical conditions that you can have. We're going to be talking about your diet, like all of those things, believe it or not, it impacts your hair. So I am going to start off with Hanaya. So Hanaya, I want you to introduce yourself to everybody.
All right, good afternoon, LinkedIn community. I am Hanaya Payne Johnson. I live in the Houston, Texas area. I've been working in community health work for about the last 15 years. And I just love anything dealing with health and how we as individuals can better ourselves.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Hanaya. Next, we have Nairobi.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. My name is Nairobi Wheeler, and I currently live in Peoria, Illinois. And I am the founder and CEO of Striving Developmental Solutions. It is my business is a combination of I design online self-paced courses in foreign languages such as Spanish, French, and Italian, and African American history. And I am also a certified professional resume writer where I assist professionals in higher education business with their resumes, cover letters, and thank you letters. Or I do assist them in LinkedIn, updating their LinkedIn profiles as well. And I am also, and previously I was also a co-author of Dr. Yazeed's other book, Shut 'em Down, Black Women, Racism in Corporate America. And I'm really excited to be here and share my experience.
All right. I am glad to have you again on this project as well, Nairobi. So thank you so much. And last but not least, we have Lisa with us. Lisa, let everybody know who you are and what it is that you do.
Good evening, everyone. I am Lisa Marsh. I am founder and current owner of Miss P's G-Free. We do delicious, nutritious, and healthy gluten-free baking. We have products in about 23 Whole Foods markets in and around Chicagoland area, as well as on Amazon and our e-commerce site. And I am overjoyed with the book coming out. So let's get it.
So we actually, those of you who are new to like my LinkedIn lives, all I ask is that we keep it friendly in the comments. Introduce yourselves so people in the comments know who you are. Feel free to chime in. You can ask questions of the panelists, and I'll moderate those as well. But we want this to be a healthy discussion. We want this to be a discussion where everyone walks away learning something that they can use to help them to take better care of themselves, to realize when their hair might be unhealthy and what are some steps that they can take to correct those issues. Because I think a lot of times as Black women, we get so caught up in the day-to-day of taking care of everyone else that we really forget to take care of ourselves. Like that becomes a really big issue of and so we might see things going on like the thinning of our hair, the balding, and we just blow it off. We won't go and dive further and ask questions. Or when we go to a primary care physician, they might blow us off. And so we're going to talk about all of those things tonight. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Our first question of the night is, has your health ever impacted the growth of your hair? So which one of the panelists would like to tackle this one first? All right, Nairobi, go right ahead.
Yes. In the book, I do kind of go into detail about. I suffered from eczema when I was a child, so my hair had fallen out due to the eczema. So I've had issues with my hair as I got older. I wasn't able to grow my hair at a shoulder length because of that experience. I was, I would have, my hair would get thick, really thick, and I would have frizzy hair, and my scalp would get very, very dry. So I would have to use a lot of deep conditioners, leave-in conditioners to help my hair, stay healthy. So that was something that really impacted my hair growth. And over the years, I've worn wigs to, get that feeling of having my hair shoulder length. And also I've put the tracks in my hair to help with that as well. So that's something that really has impacted my hair, is the eczema experience.
Now, there's one thing that you talk about in the book, Nairobi. First of all, I didn't know eczema impacted your hair until I read your chapter. But there's something else that you talked about that sometimes I think we neglect, and that's going back and getting your family history, because you had mentioned how you didn't realize, like when you looked at childhood pictures, you noticed that there would be phases that your hair would be like different, and nobody really explained to you what was going on until you asked, why did my hair was like look full and healthy in some of these pictures when I was a kid, and other times it didn't.
It was very short. In some old family pictures, my hair was like, I would have a thick head of hair, and then there was other ones, my hair was just as short. It was like a fade, pretty much. And I looked like a boy because my hair was so short. And
So before you asked, no one told you?
No. Mm-mm. Honestly, nobody explained to me what happened. And I think the reason why they didn't explain that to me was they didn't want me to get upset about that.
Okay.
But I do understand.
Right. And as you become an adult, that's like something you need to kind of know, that this is something that you suffer with, even if it's kind of gotten better as you've gotten older, which it sounds like it has. Like sometimes I think parents protect us too much. And it's some things they should share with us that they don't. And I had that conversation with my primary care physician on Monday. And unfortunately, my mom is deceased, and I could not answer her question. And it was a conversation my mom and I had never had before. And so it made me think about your chapter. And I was like, at least Nairobi could go back and ask someone. And I was like, here I'm sitting, I can't go back and ask nobody. Like, the person who can answer this question is not here. So I think that's very important, that we need to we should have those conversations, and maybe figure out how to communicate in a healthy way.
Right.
Okay.
And there was a relative of mine that had it as well.
Okay. All right. Okay. So you have a family history of it. It's hereditary. Again, things we need to know.
Yeah, it's really true, because I have an autoimmune disorder. So growing up, I didn't ever really have an issue with hair falling out or hair breakage as a kid. But when I got around 25, I began to have a lot of issues with my autoimmune disorder. Well, because I'd never had issues with it before, I never realized that having lupus could affect my hair that the way it was. Right in the center of my hair, it just all was coming out. Now, I had a lot on the top of it to cover it up, but in the center, I could put the palm of my hand and there was nothing there.
Wow. So how did you because that's in the 20s, that's kind of when you feeling yourself. So how you deal with that at that age?
It was difficult at first, but I had an older coworker that she introduced me to a product actually called Nairobi. and it was a detoxifying shampoo. And I began to see a herbalist. And we realized that some of the medications I was taking was causing the alopecia. So I had to learn other methods. And thank goodness the hair has grown back. It's a little thinner in that area, but it's completely grown back in that section. And I still use that detoxifying shampoo, because we forget just because we're taking the medication for one illness, it may affect or mess something else going on up in our bodies. And we have to detox and cleanse our bodies of those chemicals.
This is so true. This is so true. Thank you so much for sharing it. Now, Lisa, you've had not just one, but you've had two. Two. So share with everybody about what you had going on health wise that impacted your hair. And it was actually your hairstylist who sent you to a dermatologist. Good
That is
hairstylist,
so
by the way.
true. That is so true. I was diagnosed first with something called Sjogren's, and it also is an autoimmune disorder. And since I have already had rheumatoid arthritis happening, and I'm already on a gluten-free diet because of the way wheat, rye, or barley affects my body, so I thought, oh, well, that just fits right in with my autoimmune system going crazy. And so I accepted that first diagnosis, and I started using the creams and the things that, because the dermatologist said to me that we could put you on medication, but the side effects are worse than actually the hair falling out or the eyes being dry or the mouth being dry, which I was okay with because I don't like to take a lot of medications. I like to resolve things naturally. So I take a lot of supplements. I, eat better. I exercise. I try to live a healthier lifestyle. So I was like, this Sjogren's is killing me. So I was doing the creams and all the things, and it actually started to grow back. And then I thought I was out of the woods. So you know how you just stop or gradually go away from. And then by that time, I had actually switched beauticians, because trying to find a beautician in and around Chicago is very challenging. One that you like. But I switched beauticians, and then my new beautician was like, I think you have a fungus, because all in the crown, like you were saying, is it Hananiah?
Hanaya.
Hananiah. All in the crown, it broke. There was nothing, and I didn't have a whole lot to cover it up. So I went to another dermatologist that she recommended, who is an African-American female dermatologist that I was overly thrilled to go and see. And she said, I don't think you were diagnosed correctly. I don't think you have Sjogren's. I think you have what's called CCCA. I had never heard of that. I was like, what? What is that? She's like, let me do some testing. So she pulled some follicles right on out and sent them out for testing. And true enough, for what she thought, centrifugal alopecia. And it affects women over 35 who look like us, your brown skinned girls. It affects us, and they don't know why. They don't know if it's because of pressing as a youngster, or perms, or these harsh colors, or the things we do to our hair. But a lot of us experience that. And it's not well known. And I was like, what do you mean? I'm like, in my 50s, I should know about this thing. But I was very, very thankful that my beautician was like, no, it's shedding too much. You are missing a whole patch right here in the center, and it should not do that. So,
And I like the fact that she pointed that out to you, like, because I've seen beauticians like just, I'm like, is anybody gonna tell her hair falling out? You sitting in a hair salon, and it's like there's no education, and it's just like I think the common excuse I would hear from a beautician is, you need to stop wearing so many ponytails. Like, you're pulling your hair too much. And I was just like, I don't think ponytails. And I was like, just be quiet. You just sit here to get your hair done. Be quiet. But I would say, like, it would be in, like you said, Black women who were going bald in the center. And it would be a lot of women in the beauty shop. And she would tell all of them the same thing, like it was ponytails and what are you stressing about? And it was never, have you talked to your physician? Have you went to see a dermatologist? Now, Lisa, it was something that you mentioned that I thought was very important. And you talked about your first diagnosis, which was a misdiagnosis, was not by a African American dermatologist. And this was actually a dermatologist that you said did not want to touch your hair. Whereas when you went to see the other doctor, your experience was totally different. When you went to see a doctor who looked like us, kind of talk about that, because that happens a lot. And I think we brush that off too.
Yeah, I definitely noticed. And the funny part is that I really didn't pay too much attention until I went to go see the Black dermatologist, that the other dermatologist didn't seem to want to touch my hair or get too close to me. It's and she had on these gloves, and this was even before COVID. She had on these gloves, and she's just like, well, I'm gonna send you some creams and I'm gonna do this or try that. And she actually did also send me to go get tested, but it was the same feeling when I went to the testing center, where they just ignore you, like you don't exist, like you're not a real person who has real feelings, who's going through some kind of obvious trauma and need to be talked to. They didn't even offer me water. They were like, okay, test it. Okay. So when I met Dr. Patterson, which is the African American dermatologist, and she was so personable and so friendly, and so let me learn a little bit about you, and let me look at your scalp. Let me test this. Let me see how I can help you. And she wasn't hands off or standoffish. And I think that's when I really noticed the difference. I was like, very interesting.
Yeah, and I keep saying representation matters, and I think it matters in our healthcare as well. Now, Roby and Hanaya, have you ever experienced that when it came to like your hair and you seeking medical attention, that the care that you received from doctors may have been different, or that they didn't understand, and you had to kind of go through a couple of people?
It's definitely different. Just in health in general, unfortunately, when you have physicians that don't look like you, or they're not of an ethnic background, they don't know how to handle you. So they don't give it their all. And that's with all aspects of healthcare, unfortunately. You can go in for a simple cold and you'll notice they treat you different than your counterpart that does not have brown skin, because they automatically assume you don't actually know what's going on with you. You're not educated enough to study yourself, to know you, to know when something's off with your body. So I actually had, with me having an autoimmune disorder, my parents took me to doctor after doctor after doctor as a kid, and nobody ever figured out what's wrong. It was just this, that, or, my mom was too dramatic. Nothing was really wrong. I was 21 years old before this was ever figured out, before I could ever be diagnosed. And at that time, it was a brown skinned doctor that figured it out. She wasn't African American, but she was an Indian doctor. And I noticed then, when I had the care from her, that the care I had received from physicians that looked nothing like me, or that were not brown skinned, there was no comparison. There was no matching up.
And that's sad. That's really, really sad. Now, Roby, you were going to say something.
Personally, not really I've had experiences, but not when it came to the texture of my hair or anything. It was just the way that people perceive me by the way I've had my hair cut, especially with the fades, that I would have my hair in a fade. And a lot of people would mistake me actually for a man or a boy, even though I would wear
Now,
makeup
Roby,
and
you do not look like no man.
and I would get that experience like in like when I go to the doctor or even on the public transportation when I had my hair in that fade cut, people would just think I was a guy. And
But I think sometimes people are just in a general setting. I think people are just rude, and they find they just find a reason to mess with people. We done seen things change a little bit now. Especially coming for a Black woman, is just not happening in 2021. But I think with healthcare, we're also starting to see some differences and some things take place and some shifts. In regards to now, we're actually seeing more Black doctors, more doctors of color, like Hanaya said, that are in practice. I know, when I first started, was out there on my own in my 20s, it was like finding a needle in a haystack. And my primary care physician now, I've actually had two Black female primary care physicians. And the conversations that I always have with them when they want me to go out and see someone else, and this is by choice, is I was like, okay, anybody on this list Black? And are they a female? Because that's who I feel comfortable with, and we will get more done. Like a Black man is okay, but I really want to see a Black female. And if they are just not there, then who else is it that I'll go to see? Because I have two, and not necessarily with my hair, but just other things in general, where I've had people to blow me off, and come to find out later on, it would be something that was really someone should have paid closer attention to it. And because it got blown off, or they said, oh, you're overreacting, it's not that serious. Like, now I'm at the point I will cuss you out and keep going. Like, I'm paying for this. This is the service that I'm receiving. If you can't treat me in a certain fashion, because Hanaya, you said it best. They treat you like you're uneducated, like you don't know what's going on, that you have poor understanding. And I had that happen to me again on Monday, because I need to talk to my primary care physician. Home girl, you gonna need to get assistant here as your nurse. Because before you come in, Becky has a nasty attitude with your clients. So Becky and I kind of got into it. And Becky decided she was going to read me. And I didn't tell Becky nothing. I let Becky go on by her business, because I knew the next day I was going to get that little form that says, how was your visit? And I ate Becky up because my visit wasn't good. Because Becky talked to me as if I was in the 6th grade about my health. And I knew that there were things that Becky didn't ask me that Becky should have asked me at that time. And she didn't, because I've worked in a healthcare setting. So that's called don't judge a book by its cover, because you never know what somebody's been through or where they worked at when they sitting in that chair asking you for medical advice. So thank you, ladies, so much for sharing that and sharing about your experience, especially in the healthcare field.
I just want to say before we move on to the next question that's why in the book I call Dr. Patterson a unicorn, because I was elated to see her.
Yeah,
one of a kind.
Yes, and we have a couple of people agreeing over here on LinkedIn. They're saying absolutely, they agree that like basically they feel they're Black doctors that can really relate. And someone said that they're in the Black experience, that there is this gap when it comes to Blacks who go to the doctor and in healthcare. So, and someone said that is a safe way to be rude and critical. Yeah, just you got to work on this. I'm not going to say anything sometimes while I'm there. Sometimes I will say something, because I'm going to get up and leave before y'all even start examining me. Like, we just go, because I don't feel comfortable with you. But I knew she wasn't examining me. I was going to get my sister girl, coming, and I had questions for her, so I didn't feel like ruffling people's feathers that day. But when I got that survey at 7 o'clock in the morning, trust me, when I go back in, I want to see if Becky still worked there, because I was very detailed about what happened and what was said, because it was really, let's just put it this way. It was there were some racial innuendos that were made on her part that had me just like, did she just say that? And she worked for a Black doctor, and everybody that comes through here is Black. And does the doctor know that she's saying this kind of stuff to people? Like, so hey, if nobody says anything, then we'll never know. So that's why we're having these discussions today. So our next question is, how do we know if we have healthy hair? So what's the difference between healthy hair and unhealthy hair? Like, you would think people would know this, or we think our hairstylists would tell us this. But, we got the natural movement where a lot of people are doing their hair at home. So how do you know that your hair is actually healthy, even if you're doing it yourself and you're doing all the right things? Who wants to go first?
I will.
Okay.
I think what we have to realize is we can't go based on what society is telling us is healthy hair, because my healthy hair doesn't look like Dr. Yazeed's healthy hair. We have to realize that the media, for the most part, is telling us that healthy hair looks like Rapunzel. Everybody doesn't have silky straight hair. Some of us have tightly coiled hair. Some of us have woolly-like hair. Some of us have cotton-like hair. But if we just think about the ultimate goal and what it is we're wanting for our hair to look like and how we want to achieve that, because I know for me, mine is, I live in South Texas. Houston is very humid. My healthy hair looks like going outside and not looking like a poodle that hadn't been to the vet in 5 months. So we have to think about, is it good elasticity? Is it bouncy? But ultimately, we all want to be able to detangle our hair and not have it fall out in chunks. We don't want the breakage. We don't want the split ends. So that is the common denominator, I think, for all women when it comes to healthy hair. But in my opinion, I don't feel that there is one set guide of rules that says we all have healthy hair because it looks like XYZ.
This is true. And thank you for stating that everybody's hair is different. And so my healthy is not going to look like your healthy. Now, we two stay sober. So sometimes we both might be looking like that poodle in that 100-degree weather. Yeah, we might. And they don't mean our hair ain't healthy. It just means that the weather does not love us that day. That's all it means. That's all it means. Lisa.
I think too, I absolutely agree with you that my healthy is not your healthy, because everybody's hair is so different. So for me in Chicago, I'll take some of that humidity, ladies, because it's cold now and they talking about more snow and snow don't like my hair either. So, but for me, when I go to get my hair twisted and go to get it styled, my beautician kind of helps me to know if my hair feels soft, if it is breaking, because sometimes I can't tell, especially in the crown and, up. But she's like, oh, it feels good. Whatever you used, it's healthy. It feels good. I don't see spots. I don't. So I really take a lot of cues from her. When I wash my hair too, I note how tight it gets, how that feels, and then what it takes to get it back better, moisturized and not dry. So I would absolutely agree that everybody's hair is not the same, because I could have really took both my sisters and snatched their hair from what I got.
Nairobi.
Yeah, I agree with everyone. With everybody's hair, everybody defines healthy hair differently than somebody else. With my hair, my hair is naturally curly. So when I get out of the shower after I wash my hair, the curls just start tightening up, like really cute, and I love it, And I don't even need to put in a perm or anything. I can just buy some curl spray, and just spritz it, and it looks cute. But I mean, with that, I have to have my hair cut, a little bit shorter because of the frizz and everything.
I know for me, I went down a YouTube rabbit hole and I talk about this. And so, you got everybody saying, use this product, use that product. And I didn't realize some of the products were not good for my hair and they damaged my hair more so than anything else. Um, I've also had to realize that my diet plays a big part in my hair, not just my body, but that my hair being healthy too. And so when I go on exactly like water, when I do smoothies, they're like stuff out my refrigerator versus me going to Smoothie King. Like the refrigerator, like have my skin glowing, hair looking all hair popping, curls popping. But when I go like and eat junk food, like a bunch of junk food, I can tell in my hair. My hair will get like brittle, it will get real dry, and then I'll be like, okay, you're not drinking enough water, you're not eating enough greens. Like I know that I need to fix what I'm putting inside of me as well. And I don't think we are educated. I think we're starting to see, like with the natural hair movement, we are seeing, there's kind of this fitness thing too, and taking care of your bodies. And so now there's more education about what we put inside of us. But for a long time, that was not the case. And I think the other thing we have to be mindful of too is that in Black communities, some of them are in what we call food deserts. And so there are no true grocery stores where you can go and get fresh fruits and vegetables. And I know, like, my dad, when he was alive, he still lived like, basically in our neighborhood that had went from Black middle class to, low income, people hanging out and not doing what they needed to do. And so the grocery store, they used to have like fresh fruits and vegetables. He would complain and say like that, because my dad was a chef. And he would say how the stuff was old, it would smell. And when he would look at it, he would see like, like it was starting to mold. And so I would make sure that I would bring him those things. But we started talking about the quality of food that was available to him. And so sometimes we don't realize that what we're taking in, because we might feel like that's all that's accessible to us because of where we live, that is starting to impact our health. And that's where I start talking about, politics. You need to look at who you all are putting in the office, and why aren't they bringing those big budget stores to your area? Because the money is there. People got to eat.
Mhm.
Like, they gotta eat. So that's not the issue. Why is it that you get the poor quality, or you only have the corner store that has nothing fresh, everything in a can, in a box, or it's behind the counter, locked up? Like, it's a difference. But all of those things impacts our health and what's going on inside of us, which starts to radiate on the outside. Like what you put into you starts to come out in some form or fashion, including on the top of your head as well. So let's see. Let's go to our next and final question of the evening, ladies. What are some things we can do daily to ensure that our hair is healthy? And we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but what are some things we can do on a daily basis to make sure that our hair is healthy and to start identifying, like catching those problems early on? Lisa.
Yeah, I'll take this one. For me, it's so true what you said, that whatever you're putting in your mouth is going to manifest itself on your face, in your hair, and all of that. So for me, luckily, a while back, I learned that I needed to be on this gluten-free diet. So eating the wrong foods can cause all kinds of problems. And if I've been reading since we got the book together about gluten and your hair, and it can cause hair to shed. And I didn't realize that. I'm like, this is crazy. So being on this gluten-free diet, taking care of myself, working out. I get up in the morning, I write, I do my devotional, and I go work out. Trying to stay healthy. I'm hitting 5 in 10 days. So working out, being healthier, and keeping a positive spirit, keeping moving, and not letting these things like this pandemic keep you depressed or isolated because you can't do the things that you used to do. So to me, it's about mind, body, and spirit. All of it kind of works together for your good. So if you're taking care of yourself, you're eating well, you're drinking lots of this. This stuff is so good for you. You best be drinking lots and lots of water. Because if you're not, it'll show up. It shows up on your face, on your skin, on your hair. And again, Chicago weathers, these harsh winters, they will show up. So drinking lots of water. And for me, I'm moisturizing. And when I see my dermatologist, because I'm still in that CCCA phase, so I actually have to have injections in my hair, my scalp, to get the follicles to try to grow some of the hair back. Some of them may never, and catching it early, from what the dermatologist said, I have a really good chance of regrowing some of the hair that shedded and the follicles that died. So we'll see how that works. It's no guarantees, but I think all of that plays into having healthy hair, a healthy spirit, taking care of yourself, and loving those around you. And not to mention, always giving grace and thanks to God. So for me, that is it. And keeping this stuff moist. So
Now, Roby.
For me, keeping my hair healthy, definitely drinking plenty of water. I've been starting to do that. First thing when I get up in the morning, I have a glass of cold water in the refrigerator and I drink it before I shower. I keep my hair moisturized. I have a leave-in conditioner that I have, cream that I use, and it's been working wonders. In my situation, I literally have to moisturize my hair at least twice a day because my scalp gets so dry, especially around this time of the year. And, just moisturizing it. It basically, keeping a positive attitude is essential too for your hair to be very healthy. I journal a lot. I do a lot of different things. I watch a lot of positive TED Talks and movies and things like that. And so it's something that has really been, instrumental in helping keeping my hair healthy, especially with the pandemic. And, you get down and depressed, but, you got to keep yourself up, and God, and definitely what Lisa said, God is what keeps you strong.
Definitely agree. Definitely. Hanaya, what are some things that you do on a daily basis?
I'm very big on vitamin and mineral intake. And I learned quite a while back that if my hair was thinning, then I needed more protein. Or if my hair was dry or my scalp was dry, then I needed to up my healthy fat intake. So I'll make sure I eat avocado, flax seeds. I do collagen peptides because they aid, and I make sure I take my B vitamins, my B complexes, because they help aid as well. And then I noticed some of the women in my family tend to gray in their 40s, and I'm getting closer to that. So I began to figure out what's causing this hair pigmentation loss. So I've started increasing my diet with pumpkin seeds because graying hair is just simply sometimes a loss of copper. So for me, just making sure I'm upping my vitamin intake, studying my body as a whole to see what vitamin I'm lacking in. What do I need to eat to include those vitamins in my diet, and not just always simply just running to CVS or Walgreens and buying it off the shelf. You know, the old adage is very true. We can't eat our way into heaven, but we can definitely eat our way out of it. So just remembering that our body is a temple. And like the other ladies say, I do a lot of journaling. I do a lot of reading. And I remember that within everything, grace is the answer.
Yes, I definitely agree. And you know, I'm not a whole pill person, so I definitely agree. Like, let me go see what food has this in it first and try it that way before I go and have to do the synthetic way, kind of so to speak. I know for me, I have to monitor my stress levels. That when my stress levels start to go up, I start to have thinning around my edges. And for me, it's kind of hereditary because that's something that my mom used to experience. And one thing that I found that really works for me is kind of had to start using more protective styles. And some people frown upon wigs, but when I start seeing my hairline starting to thin, I will do like you know, and it's not I'm not trying to do no glue in nothing. This the one with the combs that I put in, and I can take it out my head at night because that's a lot to deal with. So it's not glued in, but it gives my edges, so to speak, a break and just allows my hair to kind of do its thing. Hair massages, y'all. I look at the end of the day, I'm gonna be in there massaging my little scalp, and it's just so happy. But it helps to like alleviate that tension that I built up during the day, the stress that I have. Um, Exercise is a big part of my life and what I do. Lisa, you know, I'm going on 50, 52. So I'm up there with you, girlfriend. I have to make sure that I am healthy, and that's the movement part. Because if I don't move, I notice that my stress levels will go up and stay up because I didn't do anything to decrease them. And then all of that shows up in my hair. Hair will start falling out. And I know what's going on because I'll brush it and it'll just start shedding. And it's like I have hair all over the place. So being mindful of that, the products that I use, just because YouTube says it's a good product, sometimes it doesn't work with my hair. And, you know, I was at one point just sitting there like, I got about $300 worth of products that I used one time because it didn't work with my head. And I have nobody to give this stuff to. And, you know, it, it kind of just happens. And come to find out it's the least expensive products that kind of work best with my hair. Go figure. But you know, just being mindful, and I think all of us are our common message is really listening to your body, noticing those changes and not ignoring them, and trying to find out what is the root of the problem. Like if you see it happening, let me try and do some deduction of what's changed in my life, what's going on in my life. But then if we can't figure it out, that's when you need to get on the phone and start scheduling a doctor's appointment and bring in the professionals. But don't ignore what you see going on with your body, especially with your hair. Sometimes it's not us getting old. Like sometimes the hair thinning does not have anything to do with your age. It might be some other stuff that's going on. So, you know, look at what's going on in your life. And if that's not working, and say, okay, this might be a little bit deeper. Let me seek out the help of a medical professional. So I want all of you ladies, first of all, I want to say thank you to all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to come on tonight and really kind of sharing your journeys, which was different from the other authors, like the three of you. And then we have Declan Burks, who's missing tonight because Decky had to have a medical procedure done earlier today, so she couldn't be here with us. And Decky's story was basically she had cancer. And so in her chapter, she talks about hair loss due to chemotherapy and you know, just bone marrow transplants and all the different things that she had to go through to really fight her cancer and in the end win her battle. And so the four of you actually had very unique stories in the book that I found were rich, because you all talked about something that a lot of times we as Black women, when we have health issues going on, and especially when it affects like your hair, your crown, you don't talk about that. Like we keep that under wraps. Don't nobody need to know about that. Instead of us sitting down and educating each other. And so when I read your chapters, I was so happy that you shared your stories, because I knew it was difficult. And so that you stepped out of your comfort zone and that you were brave enough to share that part of yourselves with us. I really want to say thank you. If I haven't said it before, thank you, because I really appreciate it, each of you. So as we wrap up tonight, I want you to tell the audience where they can learn more about you, and where, if they want to purchase a copy of the book from you, an autographed copy from you, where they can get a copy from you. So we're gonna start with Hanaya. Hanaya, tell people where they can learn more about you.
So, in order to learn more about me and receive a copy of an autographed copy of the anthology from me, you can go to hanayajohnson.com. Kind of difficult to spell, so it's HANAIYA. Johnson, just simple JOHNSON.com, and you can log on to my site, see different health tips, read my blog, see what's going on with me and how I run my healthcare services.
All right, thank you. I didn't know you had healthcare services. Girlfriend, learned something new tonight. All right, thanks. You talked about pumpkin seeds. I gotta go read your blog. Okay. Lisa, tell us where we can learn more about you.
Absolutely. You can go to www.mspsgfree.com, which is our website for our delicious gluten-free items. And you can pick up the book, and I'm offering specials, not just an autographed copy, but some other treats too. So check me out and come on and get your book. We have poured out our hearts in there, and we cannot wait for you guys to read it.
Amen, Lisa. Definitely cannot. And Nairobi.
You can look for me on LinkedIn. You can also reach out to me at strivingcareeracademy@gmail.com, and I can and I will reach out to you. You can reach out to me there, and then I will reply to you, and then I will give you more information about purchasing the book. And I do want to say thank you, Dr. Carey, for doing this. This is wonderful, and I'm so honored and that you allowed me to do this.
Well, thank you for agreeing to be a part of this. You know, I can be a handful sometimes, but thank you. This was by far very informative. Just each of your stories, I learned something different, not only about Black women in hair care and about each of the contributing authors, but about myself and some stuff that I went through, or like have a conversation with family members, or like, wait a minute, I did used to look at what did I eat? Maybe I need to go back to that. And at least they had me looking at, like, my providers like, look, hold up, we ain't doing this in 2021. I need to be treated a certain kind of way. I'm in here spending my hard-earned money. So you all, if it wasn't friendly reminders, it was always, each story gave me something to remind me of why I'm a Black woman, why I need to be proud of my hair and who it is, and all the things that we do that make us unique. And it's not just our hair, but our hair is an extension of who we are. So I just want to again just say thank you. This has truly been a great experience for me, pulling this anthology together. So I cannot wait for everyone to read it. It will be out within the next 2 weeks. So I hope that you check out these ladies. All of them are on LinkedIn. Okay. So you can go find them on LinkedIn. If you can't remember their website, they're on LinkedIn. Connect with them, follow them. And if you'd like a copy of the book from them, reach out to them as well. So thank you again, ladies. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. on this discussion tonight on LinkedIn.